This just in, Caleb Williams is officially the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm just kidding. That's what social media would tell you. But he did have a really great first outing as the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. Take a look at his preseason numbers. Reminder, he was playing against the Bills' first-team defense, so that should be noted. 4 of 7, 57% completion for 95 yards. His longest pass was 42 yards. He had a couple of balls over the middle, scrambled a little bit. Safe to say things are trending in the right direction in Chicago. Let's bring in our Emory Hunt to sort of quell all of the overreactions we've been seeing on social media. But Emory, I got to be honest, the expectations were sky high for Caleb Williams. And when you saw him play, he kind of looked like a seasoned, I don't want to say seasoned veteran because maybe that's a step too far, but he definitely looked like he belonged. Rate his performance for me, 1 out of 10. How well do you think he did?
I thought he did a 8, and here's why. You brought up something great in the pregame, talking about would you trust putting him out there against an offensive line that's kind of sketchy. And we saw him a little bit hesitant, I want to say on his first drop back, where he was kind of holding the football a little bit too long, unsure of what to do with it. But then he started to settle down and realize, hey, it's just like I've played football my whole life. It's no different than how I played at USC, how I played at Oklahoma. Now, I felt like he started to trust his offensive line a little bit more as his drives went on, because it looked like he reverted back to USC where he didn't have the protection. It was like, I got to get out of Dodge. And so he was like, no, let me trust these guys. They're pros too. And that's when he started to settle down and started to do those things that we saw him do throwing the football at both universities.
Yeah, he had a little PTSD there for a minute, but had to remind himself that he was playing in a different uniform. Let's break down his performance here a little bit. So no touchdowns for Caleb Williams, but he did lead 2 scoring drives that, of course, ended in field goals there. A couple of really big passes. He also got into some situations where maybe the decision-making wasn't what it would need to be if you're in a clutch time game here. So what were the biggest takeaways that you had from Caleb's performance?
Again, a lot of times people overthink things during the draft process, but the one thing that you want to take away from what we saw from Caleb Williams or any one of these high-level rookies, what you do in college translates to the NFL level. So everything from arm talent, arm discipline, the fact that he can make plays on the move, the fact that he can make plays with his legs, all of those things that we saw in college translates to the NFL, and we saw that in his 2 series out there offensively for Chicago. So everything that we saw on film checks out already as a pro. Whether it's preseason or not, he's doing the things that we saw him do at USC and Oklahoma.
Yeah, certainly going to be a fun season. No one more excited than our Tom Fernelli, who has been tweeting up a storm about this performance. And Emory, we want to share this tweet with you from Tom that he posted earlier, and this is what he had to say. Because the theme, remember, is preseason football. And so he said, the 2 most important things for Bears fans to remember today. Number 1, if Caleb Williams plays well, it's because he's a Hall of Famer who will lead the Bears to 8 Super Bowl victories. If Caleb Williams does not play well, it's meaningless preseason game. So obviously, Emory, we have seen the tape. We've talked about the expectations here when it comes to Bears fans and what they should expect now throughout the season. Maybe not 8 Super Bowls. That's kind of ambitious. But how do we change our expectations now that we know what we're going to get out of Caleb?
Well, it'll be fascinating to follow Tom and Joe Musso the entire season, right? Follow their tweets the entire season. But listen, this is a very good Bears football team. I always stress this. Justin Fields led this team to the 9th pick last year. They were 7-10, and they were in a lot of those ball games. And then you go out in the offseason and you get a Caleb Williams at quarterback, but you also bring in so much talent offensively that you start to think, hey, this team could easily win 9 games. They flip a lot of those close losses, which I expect them to do based on what they have offensively. We saw Swift make a big play early in the game. And defensively, this is a top 10 defense that still has gotten better in the offseason. So you can have realistic expectations of this team could get to the 6th or 7th seed in the NFC. But also, hey, it's a competitive league. Maybe they can close that gap between them and Green Bay at number 1 or even Chicago. We know they gave those guys fits last season. So it's not unconceivable to think the Bears could even win the division. I'm not saying they will, but this is a very good football team, even with the rookie quarterback.
Listen, some of our people upstairs who are Packers fans, I know Joey is not happy to hear you say that you think the Bears might win the division, but hey, we have so much to be excited for when it comes to Caleb Williams. Our Emory Hunt hopping on to help us temper those Twitter expectations now that we've finally seen the #1 overall pick take the field. Taking a look at the notable odds to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, well, Caleb Williams certainly lived up to the hype. He is currently the favorite at +140, but don't forget about Jaden Daniels, who also had a very special first game in the NFL, and Marvin Harrison Jr. as well, rounding out the odds at +850.